presentation of TFNN. The Tom O'Brien Show is produced every business day. Tom takes your phone calls toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-873-7618.
Hey, Robert, how you doing, man?
Yes, good, and thank you for taking my call. I wanted to let you know that I've been a subscriber for a couple of years, just different members of your team, and I really enjoy it. But really the reason I'm calling is to express my sincerest gratitude for you providing that information yesterday on the small business grant. I'm a small business owner and primary breadwinner for my family, and if I can get that money, it's going to really mean a lot to my family. So
that's awesome.
Thank you for taking the time to do that.
No, well, listen, man, we appreciate you growling a problem with us.
Now, Tom O'Brien.
What's going on, everyone? This is Jacob Shoup. You're watching the Tom O'Brien Show. Take a look at this. We really had quite the rollover today. You have the SPY trading off about 0.53%. Right now it's 601.87. This is pretty substantial, right? You're trading about 610.52 earlier. Maybe a little bit. Let me get to the daily, actually. Long story short, we didn't break the all-time highs, right? And if I can get out of here and see, we went to 609.96. That's substantial, right? We're trying to make those all-time highs again, give it up completely on at least daily volume. This is very tough. And, this started turning over before, big discussions on the tariffs, right? If you don't know, I guess the tariffs are supposed to take place on Saturday. That is 25% on Canada, another 25% on Mexico, and a 10% on China. The reason why I'm not playing this right now is because this could easily resolve on Saturday. And that is what's so crazy about even releasing this information today on their end. It's just kind of a bizarre thing to do. It's not, right? It gets volatility, and I'm sure some profit is being made here. But, this is some big movement to the downside right now for the SPY. Of course, only off about 0.55%, but just the reversal is interesting, right? So, we're going to go into the 590s here very soon. Now, again, I personally am not wanting to take any position going into Monday because, Trump could talk tonight at 11 p.m. He goes, you know what? We all buried the hatchet, and in fact, we're going to increase trade or whatever it might be, and then this thing takes off. Part of me wants so badly, because initially I was actually watching Tesla throughout the day because I am just drooling to short this thing. So this is impressive movement to the downside, right? You're at 402.59. You had a high right there of nearly 420. Shout out Basil, Chapman for those round numbers right under the 420 level. That failed. Obviously, a lot of this is kind of just fun selling here because you see similar movements in Palantir as well and Apple as well. What I'm thinking, it was kind of hoping for, and I say hoping, I don't want people to get, their portfolios annihilated, but I was kind of halfway hoping this was kind of like a bull trap, right? You're getting more, the paradigm, the conversation, and I'm going to talk about Tesla for a second, but it's happening with everything too, even Palantir, right? Of course, Palantir has earnings. The sentiment is starting to shift, I feel like. You have a lot of, at least big analysts saying, I am done with this stock. I don't want to look at it. Obviously, the JPM analyst came out today and just kind of said, I'm done with this thing. This makes no sense. Why did it move this much to the upside? Forward guidance was non-existent for Tesla. $10 trillion not for humanoid robots is not even really forward guidance. And what he said is this year would be, quote, epic. And 26 and 27 would be, very good or something along those lines. It's like Elon's trolling at this point, and, retail's buying this kind of stuff, man. They want it to go up. They see everything as a dip, right? And retail does play. I was discussing this with someone earlier outside of the company. None of our clients or anything, but he's like, oh no, retail's not in the market. Like they don't have any money. It's like, it has increased the daily flows at 86% since 2019. I mean, retail is in control of a lot of these things. Not necessarily in control, but I mean, they can really affect movement, you know. And I mean, that's what this was to the upside. You have a few funds that are just kind of like Argus, giving insane price points for these stocks. So I don't know. I was kind of hoping this was like the bull trap, and now we're going to get a major sell-off. I think the market is becoming increasingly skeptical of these super high PEs, these super high market caps. I mean, really, what happened with Tesla is also insane, and this is another kind of paradigm shift we're going to have to look out for, where a lot of these big companies are now almost going to be like a Bitcoin proxy a little bit, right? I mean, you had 660 million listed for Tesla last quarter because of a mark-to-market change with Bitcoin, right? And that's a new standard for accounting. I think it's 2023-08, and so that served them well this time. But I mean, what happens when Bitcoin pulls back 15% and they have to publish it that way? You know, I mean, this can tank things. So you have a lot of different moving parts going on right now. Of course, the tariff. I mean, you can see the board here. I mean, it's entirely red. The only thing it's not is the dollar. Right? And Google, I guess. So Tesla's going to flip probably, right? I mean, we want to get back to that 400 level. I mean, you started the day, what? I mean, really running up. You had a low in pre-market at 397.55. Look, you can see right there, Argus raising this to 488, 286. I mean, this is completely divorced of any fundamentals. I think a lot of this stuff is. You know, and while, yeah, of course, you're having this, you know, slight bounce back and everything from Monday, I mean, some of this needs to get taken off, I think at least, right? And I don't know what it is that, like, shocks the retail to stop doing this kind of stuff. Because their constant thought is just anytime this dips, just keep going, you know, and I don't think that's going to last forever. I don't know if as they get bored, something else happens. I don't know if sector rotation is even something in their minds. You know, I can harp on Tesla more in the sense that, like, even if these robots do come out, which I don't think they're going to at any time soon, and certainly not at 10 trillion revenue. I mean, this is how silly it is. That's not even the best way to make robots that help you out in factories. I mean, the human body is not designed for that, right? So I don't understand the anthropomorphism in the bots. Anyways, you know, you're getting kind of smacked right now everywhere, every which way. And quite a rollover for the individual equities, especially at the top in the Magnificent Seven and in the SPX as well. I mean, you take a look at Palantir. I haven't even checked since this happened. Yeah, 82.05, right? I mean, you've given up quite a bit. You had a high right there at 85.22. We're back on. And again, it's fun movement, but you know, it's interesting. You have a ton of analysts against this thing on Monday, but if Apple or Tesla or anything to go by, in all, you know, reasons, you should long this thing. It's very bizarre, you know. So we'll see what happens. I mean, really, if this tariff stuff clears up on Saturday, it doesn't take effect, we reach some kind of, you know, whatever common ground. I mean, this market will probably take back off again. Folks, stay right there. We'll be right back.
If you spend any time online researching trading techniques on how to begin your trading journey, you've no doubt come across many folks who push Forex trading as a way to make big money quickly. Unfortunately, there are equally as many stories of these so-called Forex professionals just looking to make a quick buck off aspiring traders without actually teaching the ins and outs of the Forex market. This is what sets Teddy Keckstad's The Tiger Forex Report off the riffraff. Every Monday, former Chicago Mercantile Exchange member and author Teddy Keckstad releases his Tiger Forex Report newsletter, where he dives into the complex world of Forex and takes time to actually teach you his methods that have made him so successful in the fast-paced and rewarding world of Forex trading. Furthermore, all subscribers receive access to archived live streams of Teddy's, where he provides university-level education to help you in Forex trading. All first-time subscribers receive a 30-day money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Forex awaits.
The reality is that navigating financial markets can be risky. Markets can be chaotic and difficult to understand. Having the latest market advice can help you turn this chaos into a key for creating winning trades. At TFNN, we understand that it can be hard to find reliable market news. That's why each of our market experts offers their very own market newsletter, a must-have tool for every trader out there striving to find an edge in today's markets. TFNN newsletters cover every aspect of the markets so you can analyze the market before you trade. Try any of our great newsletters risk-free with our 30-day money-back guarantee. Just visit the Newsletters tab on the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Are you ready to take charge of your financial future? TFNN is your gateway to the world of trading and investing. Whether you're starting out or scaling up, TFNN empowers traders and investors of all skill levels with top-notch investing systems, strategies, and techniques. It's time to protect and grow your money with insight you can trust. Join us live Monday through Friday during market hours for exclusive content that moves with the markets. At TFNN, we bring the trading floor to you. Our seasoned hosts are here to answer your calls and questions live on the air. Check out the Tiger's Den for just $1 and follow us on YouTube and become part of our vibrant community. And remember, at TFNN, we're so confident in the value we provide that we offer a 30-day money-back guarantee on all new premium newsletter subscriptions and services. You have absolutely nothing to risk, so why wait? Tune in live to Tiger TV and transform your trading journey, because when you know better, you invest better. Join us and experience the difference today. TFNN, educating investors.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Jacob Shoup. You're watching the Tom O'Brien Show. Get the SPY off about 0.47% at 602.19. You got the composite off about 0.35% at 19,610. Dow Jones Industrial off about 0.74% at 44,550. The Russell definitely getting hit the hardest here. At least the futures there off about 1.2% at 2,288. Dollar up 0.24% at 108.40. We're just down. Crude oil down. Bonds down. Apple down. Man, just a slow little roll there. Tesla about to turn negative. I would wager, maybe. I don't know. Probably biased on that. And then, hey, look at Vusi up 5.13%. And then Planet Labs, of course. ASTS, I sit corrected here. Looks like they're getting off there. I mean, yeah, still up 11.23%, but you're up about 18% today. They had their first space call, which is super solid. Right here as well, this news is pretty interesting. The company secures special temporary authority from the FCC for testing service in the U.S. I really do think that satellite calls will probably be the new wave. Again, especially as these, kind of LEO chains get a lot better. Let's see here. What do we want to talk about? I think probably first I want to talk about HIMS a little bit. Well, first I should say as well, let's take a look at NVIDIA. Again, probably down because the fund is getting sold off here. You're off about 3.2%, 120.61. You have, I think, Jensen Huang speaking with Trump right now. I'm pretty sure they are trying to argue, and by they, I mean the government, is trying to argue that China did get a lot of these higher-end GPUs via Singapore. So we'll see what happens with that. Again, that is a large kind of market for NVIDIA. If Trump decides to come out and say, hey, he's threatening to, tariff chips from Taiwan, right? Like, man. So, Singapore definitely could be in the crosshairs with that. If news like that comes out, like, hey, we might be really strict of, GPUs flow into Singapore, you could totally see a major crack down in the equity price of NVIDIA. So that's something to keep in mind. Again, really right now, I'm just kind of neutral on all of this, right? You got to see what really happens over the weekend. The tariffs, of course, are going to determine how we start moving throughout the week. Let's look at HIMS. So, sure, you're up still, you're up about 12% earlier, up about 8.36% right now, 36.80 at a high of 37.96. Some interesting stuff. This is great. Him and hers to advertise weight loss shots at the Super Bowl. This is really good. They have added to their lineup oral GLP-1s, which I think is great, right? And taking a look, at they don't have the 10K out yet, but the last 3 quarters, I mean, you have some pretty significant growth, right, in revenue and in net income. I mean, from Q1, you're starting at 278 million, getting all the way up to 401 million in Q3, which I think is phenomenal. Net income from 11 million in Q1 up to 75 million in Q3. And I'm pretty sure they will continue to do pretty well for their next quarterly release and really the 10K, right? I think they are protected a little bit. It seems like they're still able to sell these compounded semaglutide compounds and tirzepatide just by looking at it, which I think is unique. Let's see here. Yep, they have semaglutide and they do, okay, no, they're not compounding tirzepatide at all. They're still just doing semaglutide. And of course, liraglutide as well, which is already a generic form of GLP-1. So what I've also noticed recently as well is an increase in advertisements. And again, the market for Hims is going to be like guys roughly my age, a little bit younger, maybe like 24, 25. And then into their mid-late 30s, okay? This is it's a huge group of people. And the targeted advertisements that I've been getting for Hims, and I have no desire to get Ozempic or hair loss treatment or whatever it might be, right? Like I am not someone who's ever gonna buy anything from Hims, but they're obviously doing very, broad scale marketing. And it's interesting to me. Hims is becoming, I would say, like not household yet, but I have a lot of friends who talk about Hims. They know what it is. A lot of people in my age group and men are completely, I don't want to say neurotic, but I mean, the fear of losing your hair, right, of balding, is immense, which is kind of a problem because a lot of people have male pattern baldness, right? So they're tapping into this fear. They've been using ads of women basically saying, oh, I like my boyfriend so much more because he has hair. I mean, it's just honestly kind of horrible, but it's driving sales, and I think it'll continue, to drive sales. The attempts to kind of cut down on compounding does not really seem to affect them in any capacity, at least as it is right now. And again, I think you can kind of fall back on liraglutide. I think they're also positioned pretty well in the case that the FDA really comes out and really cracks down on compounding. Tirzepatide, semaglutide, that Hims is a well-known brand, right? One of the big things that the FDA is trying to push to get away from compounding drugs or get customers away from compounded drugs, is that the risk involved, right? And this is valid. There is a whole online marketplace, and it's not, dark web or whatever you want to call it. It's just kind of like clear up web, and you can go to these websites. They sell what are called research chemicals. So I can go on to a certain website and buy a ton of like retatrutide, right? Which same kind of concept, and there's no legal issues with that because it's being sold under the guise of research purposes, right? Now I wouldn't need to validate that I work for any institution or whatever have you, right? And this is for a very long time how some of these pharmaceuticals have been continuing to get into the population, right? So I mean, in the realm of like, intense gym goers or whatever it might be, you can buy whatever you want. You can buy SARMs, you can get mock human growth hormone. I mean, it is a crazy large market, and that's what's starting to happen now with these GLP-1s. And so the FDA will probably crack down on it mainly because they have a reason to, which is going to be these larger, Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk, really lobbying them to stop this. But I think with Hims being well-known brand, like they seem legitimate, right? Website's accessible, people know about them, people have been buying their hair care products, all this kind of stuff. I think they could continue to sell probably liraglutide. This is just kind of my way that I'm thinking about this. The CEO of this company and really the guys managing this whole thing have done a really good job to position themselves to capitalize on GLP-1 and then use that to launch more of their products, which I think is a great way to do that. Obviously, the investment in compounding facilities, management is going to do everything in their power to ensure that they can still operate that and not operate at a loss. So it's kind of interesting. I think they're going to continue to grow. I think getting exposure with the Super Bowl is massive. Americans are going to want to use Ozempic or really just whatever they're going to sell. Again, you can have the Liraglutide or Ozempic, and that could really drive some revenue for them going forward. So this is a stock I'm kind of interested in right now. Trading up about 7.69%. That's off from the high of today of 37.96. Folks, stay right there. We'll be right back.
Many trading newsletters attempt to focus on a narrow set of equities or commodities. While this works for some, it oftentimes misses many opportunities that possess huge gain potential. But how is an independent trader supposed to scan the entire market looking for these hidden opportunities? One simple answer: the opening call newsletter. Basil Chapman, developer of the Chapman Wave trading methodology, has been trading the markets for longer than most trading influencers have been alive. And over that time, he has honed his methodology in order to accurately call movements in a wide range of equities, from semiconductors to uranium to key indices and so much more. Basil is old school, taking the time to educate the trader while also giving his insights into key indices, selective stocks, and more. Opening call subscribers also receive access to dozens of educational live streams that can be accessed at any time for your edification. All first-time subscribers receive a 30-day money-back guarantee. So ignore the pop trading influencers and start learning time-tested technical analysis.
Steve Rhodes started his trading career as a student almost 20 years ago, and the student has now become the master. Steve won the prestigious Timer of the Year award in 2018 and barely missed that mark again in 2019, finishing at number 2 for the year. An amazing accomplishment. Steve Rhodes is committed to sharing his techniques and knowledge with anyone who wants to learn, and he shares his vast amount of trading knowledge every day in his Mastering Probability newsletter. Steve's award-winning newsletter, Mastering Probability, is delivered every trading day with updates throughout the afternoon. Sign up for Steve's market newsletter, Mastering Probability, and you'll receive access to 7 of Steve's educational webinars absolutely free. At TFNN, all our newsletters come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Visit TFNN.com and try Mastering Probability 30 days risk-free today. TFNN, educating investors.
This year has already been a wild ride for the market. We started off heavily in the red, and now it seems like we may be traversing back to all-time highs. In short, this market has been a whiplash and requires constant pivoting. Where does the market go next? Should I add to this position or cut my losses? Where is the next opportunity? Analysis paralysis. Don't become a victim of this intense market. Instead, join Larry Pesavento for the second and fourth Friday of every month for 4 hours of live trading. Larry has been through many markets just like this one, and his insights are invaluable. The next event is this Friday, January 24th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern. If you subscribe today, you'll also be able to attend his session February 8th. Get in here and let's start trading. TFNN, educating investors.
This portion of the Tom O'Brien Show is brought to you by Direxion's daily leveraged and inverse ETFs. Whether you're a bull or a bear, you choose the direction. Visit Direxion.com. Investing in the funds involves significant risk and should only be utilized by investors who understand the impact of leverage and actively monitor their portfolio. They are not designed to track the underlying index or security for more than a day. Before investing, carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risk, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at Direxion.com. Read carefully. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Jacob Shoup. You're watching the Tom O'Brien Show. We were just talking about hymns before we went to the break. Do some DD. Look at their quarterlies. The earnings calls are great as well. I think they give some good insight. I think there's a lot of hype around them, which is nice because I can carry it Of course, you are trading at about 82 PE here at 7.7 billion, so that is something to consider. And I don't know, part of me feels like there's got to be a sink at some point, but I said that maybe about 2 years ago, and I stayed out of the market for a little bit, or maybe a year ago, and I stayed out for a month or two, and that was clearly wrong, right? I mean, this is just, it's a very bizarre kind of situation to be in right now. You even have some people talking about potentially getting into some Chinese stocks too, which is kind of fascinating. Let's look as well, just before we go on, kind of Uber. And I didn't really get this sell-off with this stock a little while ago. I mean, trading at 66.69, 0.16% right now. This, stock kind of got hammered with the Waymo revelations, right? I don't think that's actually as existentially threatening to Uber as people think it may be. I mean, let's say full self-driving, completely autonomous, unsupervised full self-driving comes around. I do believe Uber will probably be able to integrate this. Now, of course, CapEx will go up because of that, right? But I mean, Uber already has this infrastructure everywhere, right? I mean, you have Uber Eats, you have just the app itself. So I don't think it's as big of a killer as I think some people are saying it out to be. I still think financials look fine on it, right? So this is what I'm also thinking of adding. I kind of want to do like a shift, right? Like a portfolio shift. It was very heavy tech, obviously. I think that kind of made sense. I'm still in Nebius, still in TSSI, but I kind of got out of everything else. So, some cash, looking to throw it somewhere. And Uber is one of them. I'll probably do something like that next week. I think there's so many earnings, and I want to see if I can try my luck at catching one end of the earnings with some of these leveraged ETFs, but we'll see what happens. Speaking of earnings, you have Palantir. This is going to be for Monday, right? You have Palantir, Mitsubishi, NXP Semiconductors, which is interesting. Tyson, of course, Supermicro. This will be pretty big. I do think that you kind of have a parallel play here almost, just because if SMCI does well, now again, that's a big if, and can you even really trust what they're saying? Difficult to kind of parse out there. I stay away from that stock just because I think they've proven themselves to be pretty toxic. But that doesn't mean, they can't go up and you can make money on it. It's just kind of my tolerance for them is low. But I think, they do well. They have forward guidance, really forward guidance based on data center growth. I think that can probably be a nice parallel play with TSSI as well. Oof. It's just off a little bit from where it was today. That's all right, up about 6.94%. Now, the only problem I have with this stock, and I think it's not paid attention to enough. They do just full services for data centers. You have a pretty strong PE, and again, I'm becoming a little bit intolerant of that, I would say, and I think a lot of people in the market are. But you're still trading up 6.94%. If SMCI does pretty well, I think this is a nice kind of sympathy play for that. Let's see what else we have next week. Yeah, Tempest AI, which is massive. This, of course, was a pretty big Pelosi play, which I love. I mean, I don't know if I love it, but it is funny that we're in the world now where we can kind of track our Congress people and see what they're investing in, and people follow along. Of course, in November 11th, you had that high of 79.49, some pretty significant movement to the downside, flooring around that 31. Man, think about that, guys. And then you're trading right up at 56.88. So that will be on Monday as well. Fabrinet, kind of interesting. And then we can move over into Tuesday. You have Google, huge. Toyota, huge. PepsiCo, Merck, AMD. I know a lot of people are feeling a little bullish on that. I don't have an opinion on AMD right now. Maybe I will next week. Pfizer, of course, Amgen. Spotify will be one absolutely to watch. I mean, one thing I will say is I have resisted Spotify forever. I'm a big YouTube guy. I listen to music that way, and I've been recently converted to Spotify as well. So maybe they're finally cracking into some regions they can't, but they did very well on their last one, too, from what I remember. You have Novo Nordisk on Wednesday, Baba on Wednesday as well, Disney on Wednesday, Qualcomm on Wednesday, ARM on Wednesday, Boston Scientific, Uber on Wednesday, Total Energies. I mean, we still have a big week ahead of us, really. You have MicroStrategy. Now that's going to be real interesting. And Monday, I want to do a little bit of an update on MicroStrategy because, of course, we covered it. My conclusion on it is that you're paying a massive premium for Bitcoin that continues to go up because he keeps dividing against total shares every time he buys Bitcoin. I'm sure there's some other developments with that as well. You have Allstate, not so impressive though, Suncor, Ford as well on Wednesday. Important to keep in mind. Man, we really have you thought this week was busy. Next week's gonna be something else. Amazon, Eli Lilly Thursday. Okay, anyways, we'll go over this. I'm not gonna have you listen to me just say this consistently. Southern Copper, okay, I will say that. For Friday, Southern Copper might be interesting. There is a potential for Trump to tariff copper as well. So keep that in mind when making plays. Let's talk a little bit about Palantir. Trading at 82.39, up 1.66% for the day. Of course, that is a massive movement. Of course, we spoke about this a little bit. Again, I think there is, again, a developing intolerance for very high PEs and forward PEs. But what I will say is that I think the hype still exists for Palantir. I am partially considering trying to get some, again, I do leverage ETFs on earnings. Don't really want to buy or mess around with calls or anything like that, at least on earning days. Part of me wants to see if I can capture almost this meme energy with Palantir. So if I do, it's not going to be a massive kind of risk. But listen, I mean, they have really carved a place for themselves. Now, I don't think it's necessarily 180 billion as it stands right now, but the expansion in their development with the U.S. military and the Maven system, which is really just supported by Palantir, and then really a continued movement into the private sector, I think can't be understated, right? I mean, if you get some really solid gains, and we're talking like they got to be solid, right? Or maybe they don't because of Tesla and Apple and all that. But if you have extremely solid gains in Palantir, this thing no doubt will run. Part of me feels like they will. I mean, they are the support system for Maven. And like I said, they're expanding into the private sector. People like it. Folks, stay right there. We'll be right back.
If you're looking for potential trading setups in the stock market, then Rocket Equities and Options Report is a newsletter you should try. Tommy O'Brien delivers options and equity trades when the markets present them, using a combination of fundamentals and technicals. Sign up for Rocket Equities and Options Report today with a 30-day money-back guarantee so you have nothing to risk. For all the details and to start your subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors. For traders who crave risk, Direxion's daily leveraged and inverse ETFs provide opportunities to magnify short-term perspectives with up to 3 times a daily leverage, utilize bull and bear funds from both sides of the trade, and trade through rapidly changing markets. These are highly leveraged ETFs with daily resetting designed for short-term trading, not long-term investing. Whether you're a bull or a bear, you choose the Direxion. For up-to-date pricing and performance, go to Direxion.com. Investing in the funds involves significant risk and should only be utilized by investors who understand the impact of leverage and actively monitor their portfolio. They are not designed to track the underlying index or security for more than a day. Before investing, carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risk, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at Direxion.com. Read carefully. Distributor Foresight Fund Services, LLC.
The reality is that navigating financial markets can be risky. Markets can be chaotic and difficult to understand. Having the latest market advice can help you turn this chaos into a key for creating winning trades. At TFNN, we understand that it can be hard to find reliable market news. That's why each of our market experts offers their very own market newsletter. a must-have tool for every trader out there striving to find an edge in today's markets. TFNN newsletters cover every aspect of the markets so you can analyze the market before you trade. Try any of our great newsletters risk-free with our 30-day money-back guarantee. Just visit the Newsletters tab on the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN has launched the Tiger's Den, hosted at Discord. TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. The Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. Sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders. Just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
This program is brought to you by Vista Gold, traded on the NYSE American and TSX under the symbol VGZ.
Tom O'Brien.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Jacob Shoup. You're watching the Tom O'Brien Show. Of course, talking about Palantir. I want to shift over a little bit just to speak on this is Blackstone talking about their data center investments and kind of what happened with DeepSeek. In case you didn't hear, DeepSeek has an issue where it exposes databases with over 1 million chat records. So that's kind of fascinating. This whole realm of trying to prompt engineer different AI in order to divulge sensitive information. I mean, you could spend this entire weekend reading about stuff like that, right? And it's almost like, as someone who has like traditional training in it's not extensive or anything like that, but like trying to, exfiltrate data from networks and stuff like that, it's very blocky, right? You have to use certain like terminals and understand their commands. A lot of it's in Linux oftentimes, but what is kind of interesting with AI is it reads just the language that you're writing in, right? And so, I mean, if you get a way to kind of like trick it and you maybe understand a little bit how it's getting its data, or accessing certain data that it gives you, whatever it might be, you can do a lot of interesting stuff. They've had some like major issues with like medical record leakages from prompt engineering. So it's pretty fascinating, There was one that was bothering me on Twitter the other day. It just said one thing, and I tried to see if I could get it to do something that it wasn't supposed to do, and it didn't. So I don't know what the kind of protections are for that, and I am woefully uneducated right now on the kind of extent that prompt engineering has gotten to. Obviously, in the past it was far, far easier, even a few years ago. But DeepSeek still has a lot of like glaring issues that have been resolved in newer, basically ChatGPT models, right? And really newer LLM models. So it's kind of interesting to look at if you ever wanted to do that. But, Blackstone, obviously the big fear that DeepSeek put in was that we're not going to need as much investment in data centers. That was basically dispelled by Meta saying we're going to continue to spend the amount they're going to spend. Microsoft continue to spend the amount they're going to spend on data center build out. And Blackstone kind of says the same thing. The COO, this is John Gray. This is something I think that's interesting to point out, and I think a lot of people have been saying this, but it was not popular initially. They said that DeepSeek was part of the broader trend where the cost of compute is coming down dramatically. At the same time, he believes that's going to lead to more usage and more adoption. So there's less training done, and this is what we've been talking about here, right? We've been talking about this for months, that at some certain point, you're going to hit a level where training is not going to be dominant anymore, and you've got to focus a lot more on inference, and this is what it's saying, right? Again, I think one of the reasons you saw this massive, one of the reasons I also really wouldn't be concerned about data center equities, unless you're picking some kind of riskier one, maybe like TSSI, is that these are going to be on the cloud. It was the weirdest argument that people made with DeepSeek. That's like, oh, this is good. People are just going to put it on their home device. It's like, no, they're not. Nobody does that. Nobody does that with anything. The cloud is massive, right? I mean, even video games, I'm pretty sure, are streamed now, right? So, just because something requires less power to run does not mean it's going to be stored locally. I don't think the world's moving that way right now. You could argue it, philosophically if you wanted to, if that's the right way to do it. But the point is, and the reality is that the cloud is very massive. I think things like AI and more wide-scale adoption and cheaper access will be very good for companies like Microsoft that just had some issues with the growth in Azure, right? And I mean, the reason why Microsoft jumps on this is because they need more Azure people. So kind of interesting to kind of consider. The big boys still want to put it in data centers. I think that's also the way to kind of do it as well. So I don't know, kind of neat in general. Talk a little bit about Vertex. These guys, just kind of a quick note on it. Give me 1 second here to get this loaded. Speaking of system requirements, really got to get this this RAM changed on the computer. Okay. Yeah, so Vertex stocks, this Vertex Pharmaceuticals. Some interesting things to note about them. I don't have much to say, up 5.43%, beyond the fact that they did release a non-opioid painkiller, which I think is kind of neat. So something to follow if you're interested in that. I try to stay out of biotech in a lot of different ways, but I thought it was interesting. For JP Morgan, talk a little bit about gold. You have gold contract trading off about 0.6% at 2,828. And again, another one to watch really is going to be copper. If those tariffs come on, this will shoot up. But what is interesting to me is that none of the metals, or even processed kind of metals, right? You think like Steel Dynamics and everything, have benefited from this, right? So I wonder if there's also something a little bit else going on. But of course, this would skyrocket prices if these tariffs get flown through. So ones to watch, really, Steel Dynamics and copper as well, if some of those commodities get tariffed. But this was interesting, I thought, with JP Morgan. They're planning a $4 billion US gold delivery amid tariff fears. So they're going to deliver gold bullion valued at more than $4 billion against future contracts in New York in February. This is obviously at a time where this kind of metal prices, it's been not really necessarily surging, but you are making all-time highs at 2,862.90 cents right now. So I mean, you're really just right under it, huh? What I thought was interesting is that they're one of the largest bullion dealers. So they're one of the several institutions to declare plans on Thursday to deliver gold bullion against contracts that will expire in February. This totals 30 million troy ounces of gold. I thought it was interesting. And of course, you're getting a lot of gold moving into the US from places like London. I mean, that was one of the big headlines yesterday. I think also as well, you're kind of getting some pumps throughout the day. Now, of course, again, we're to the downside. It's recovering maybe a little bit, looking at the SPY at least. But you're also getting, capital flow into the U.S., right, out of fears that the tariffs will be quite strong and other countries suffer from it. And I mean, really, I look at the situation with Europe, and when Steve Rhodes comes on, he looks at this too. Like, are we making all-time highs in the SPX in different currencies, which I think is a beautiful way to kind of look at that. I think it's very interesting. But it's a good point. I mean, Europe is trying to do this pivot, right, where they want to be seen as a great hub for investment. I mean, you had some guys from the ECB say that Europe would have done better last year had it not been for America's NVIDIA, which I think is a little bit misleading because without NVIDIA, the money would have gone somewhere, right? The breadth was so skewed over the past few years. And you could see that really through the month of January, you're starting to see that breadth a little bit kind of tighten, right? And the fact that the Magnificent Seven weren't getting as much inflows as the unmagnificent 493 or whatever the heck it is. But I mean, Germany's contracting in growth. France has to figure out their own thing. UK has pretty significant, social turmoil. And you can see now that the bankers over there don't even believe the concept with Europe. Of course, they're not in the EU, but they're moving everything into the US. So this is, again, another reason why I am not taking an immediate side right now with the tariffs. Even with the tariffs, I mean, you get capital flow into the US because it's just relatively stronger than everything else. You can still get that's an opposite move to what you would expect being on the downside. Folks, stay right there. We'll be right back.
Many trading newsletters attempt to focus on a narrow set of equities or commodities. While this works for some, it oftentimes misses many opportunities that possess huge gain potential. But how is an independent trader supposed to scan the entire market looking for these hidden opportunities? One simple answer: the opening call newsletter. Basil Chapman, developer of the Chapman Wave trading methodology, has been trading the markets for longer than most trading influencers have been alive. And over that time, he has honed his methodology in order to accurately call movements in a wide range of equities, from semiconductors to uranium to key indices and so much more. Basil is old school, taking the time to educate the trader while also giving his insights into key indices, selective stocks, and more. Opening call subscribers also receive access to dozens of educational live streams that can be accessed at any time for your edification. All first-time subscribers receive a 30-day money-back guarantee. So ignore the pop trading influencers and start learning time-tested technical analysis.
In the world of trading, only a few names stand out like Larry Pesavento, a pros pro with over 50 years of experience. Larry has seen it all. A former Chicago Mercantile Exchange member, Larry has authored 10 books and trained over 1,000 traders with his unmatched expertise. Introducing Fibonacci 24/7, Larry Pesavento's daily trading service that turns the complexity of markets into opportunities. Published every Sunday, receive a comprehensive report packed with detailed commentary, charts, and videos that illuminate the patterns shaping the markets, with updates throughout the week exclusively for subscribers. Whether through charts or videos, Larry's analysis is your roadmap to navigating the markets. You can sign up now at TFNN.com for just $97. And with all TFNN newsletters backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to risk. For all the details, visit TFNN.com. You'll find Fibonacci 24/7 right under the newsletters tab.
The reality is that navigating financial markets can be risky. Markets can be chaotic and difficult to understand. Having the latest market advice can help you turn this chaos into a key for creating winning trades. At TFNN, we understand that it can be hard to find reliable market news. That's why each of our market experts offers their very own market newsletter. A must-have tool for every trader out there striving to find an edge in today's markets. TFNN newsletters cover every aspect of the markets so you can analyze the market before you trade. Try any of our great newsletters risk-free with our 30-day money-back guarantee. Just visit the newsletters tab on the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN. Educating investors.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Jacob Shoup. You're watching the Tom O'Brien Show. We have just a short segment. Take a look at the gold contract, off 0.52%. Goldman Sachs seems to be pretty bullish on gold right now, as far as looming tariffs are concerned. So it's kind of interesting to keep in mind there. Let's look at the SPY, off about 0.54%. Composite off about 0.29%. Dow Jones Industrial off about 0.78%. Russell Futures off about 0.9%. That is improving, of course, from the beginning of the show. DXY trading at 108.49. Taking a look again at Broadcom. Just want to I have much more to say on it. Just want to take a look here. You have 2.28%. That is going to want to try to close that gap. And I think that quickly, the more people start associating specialized inference and specialized AIs, not just LLMs, but specialized AIs in general, with Broadcom, which I think is an accurate thing to do, you will see this stock move quite well. I think we just broke the 1 trillion market cap yet again, which is very nice, trading at 1.03 trillion. Taking a look at RCAT as well. This is one I've been a little bit interested in. I've been watching a lot of interviews with the CEO. Of course, you got to be real careful listening to CEOs of I guess this isn't necessarily micro cap anymore, but small cap companies. It is true they, of course, have integrated with Palantir for their guidance systems with the drones, which I think is massive. 518,000 in new orders for Edge 130 drones is not necessarily bad, but again, you're trading at 706 million market cap. This is definitely one I'm going to follow. It seems like the upper management is pushing very hard to try to get these drones to be deployed at the border. Now, that I think would be an amazing catalyst for Red Cat, but that is, of course, highly speculative. I think this company needs to kind of expand what it offers. Drones only go so far. Now, if Palantir comes out and does very well, I think RCAT does extremely well by proxy. Folks, thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you Monday morning, 9 a.m. with Tommy O'Brien. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend.
Building